Sexual reproduction in flowering plants. The flowering plants are the angiosperms. The reproductive parts of angiosperms are located in the flower. The flower has sepals, petals, stamens, and pistils. Stamens and pistils are reproductive part of the flower, which contain the germ cells. The flowers can be differentiated as unisexual and bisexual. Unisexual flowers, it contains either stamens or pistil. Or bisexual, it may contains both stamen and pistil. Stamen is the male reproductive part. It produces pollen grains and they are yellowish in color. And the pistil is present in the center of the flower and that is referred as female reproductive part. It is made up of three parts. The swollen bottom part is the ovary, the middle elongated part is the style, and the terminal part, which may be sticky, is the stigma. The ovary contains ovules and each ovule has an egg cell. The male germ cell produced by pollen grain fuses with female gamete present in the ovule. This fusion of germ cells or fertilization gives us the zygote, which is capable of growing into new plant. So by this diagram we come to know that only the pistil and the stamen are mainly involved in the reproduction. Why the sexual mode of reproduction is considered very important in bringing up variations. Variations are very useful for ensuring the survival of the species. It would therefore make sense if organisms came out with reproductive modes that allowed more and more variations to be generated, and this could possible by DNA copying mechanism, as it is not absolutely correct. While DNA copying in prophase 1 and the meiosis 1, there will be crossing over where the genetic material get exchanged between the maternal and paternal chromosomes. As a result, we can find out the variations among the sexual reproduction, and that results in DNA copying, and DNA copying always replicates, and when it replicates, the changes, the variations will be affected on new organisms. Since all of these variations are in living individuals, it is assured that they do not have any really bad effects. The combining variations from two or more individuals would thus create new combination of variations. Each combination would be new since it would involve in two different individuals, that is maternal and paternal, while crossing over in prophase 1 of meiosis 1, and this could possible only through the sexual reproduction. So such process of combining DNA from two different individuals during reproduction could possible by sexual reproduction that could bring the variations. The oral parts like sepal, petals, and rhizium, all these are connected to thalamus. These are neatly arranged on thalamus. Petals, sepals, no role in bringing up reproduction in the plants. Petals are attractive parts which attracts the insects. In turn, insects bring pollination. Ovary comprise ovules. Ovules are the female gametes. They are very important. The other one is stamen. Stamen is male reproductive structure comprising anther and filament. Anther comprise yellow dusty powder called pollen. These pollen comprise male gametes. Now, if the pollen transfers from stamen to the stigma with the help of insects or with the help of wind or with the help of water, anyhow, with some assistance, pollen transfers from stamen to the stigma. This is bisexual flower. Hibiscus flower is bisexual, where the male and female gametes are found in the same flower. Hence they are called bisexual. Think that the pollen has been transferred from the stamen to the stigma. This is known as pollination. The transfer of pollen from the stamen to the stigma of the same flower, then it is self-pollination. If the transfer of pollen from the stamen to the stigma of different flowers of different plants, then it is referred as cross-pollination. Now, I hope you all understood what is self-pollination and cross-pollination. If the transfer of pollen from the stamen to stigma of the same flower of the same plant, then it is self-pollination. If the transfer of pollen from stigma of different flowers of different plants, then it is called cross-pollination. Even we discussed which brings more variations. Either it is self-pollination or cross-pollination. Definitely, cross-pollination is very, very important to bring more variations. Very simple. If someone asks you how the plants are increased, the answer is very simple. You will say it as by the seeds. Sometimes you will say by stem cuttings. And many times you say by separating the bulbs, by the tubers, by the suckers, by the runners, etc. Yes. In all these methods, we see only asexual method of replication of plants. There is very little scope to find the variations among the plants. Asexual in the sense producing identical new individuals. Asexual in the sense producing new individuals which are almost identical to the parents. Very little scope for the variations. When I said seeds, through the seeds in the sense that is output of sexual reproduction. Now till now we studied androecium and gynoecium. That is, the pollen drops on the stigma. Stigma has sugary content that helps the pollen to germinate. The pollen germinates to form pollen tube, and that enters into the style and reaches ovary. This is the picture where you can see the pollen grain. One pollen grain started pollen tube. The other one has already reached the female gamete. The sugary content present in the stigma provides nutrients for the pollen to germinate. It produces pollen tube. Among many pollens, only one will reach the female gamete. Not all the pollen, only one will reach the female gamete. Now you can see the ovule down. Inside the ovule, you can find an egg cell or germ cell. Egg cell or germ cell that will have female gamete. Pollen will have male gamete. The pollen send a male gamete into the embryo sac. Embryo sac is a place where it comprises egg cell. Egg cell is nothing but female gamete. Even that is also called as germ cell. Now the pollen tube sends the male gamete into the embryo sac, and that male gamete fuses with female gamete, the egg cell. So they form zygote. This is known as fertilization. What is fertilization? The fusion of male and female gamete to form zygote is known as fertilization. Soon after fertilization, ovule forms seed, and ovary form fruit. Remember, after fertilization, ovule forms seeds, ovary form fruit. This is how the further generation goes on. That means the fruit is almost edible part. We human beings, animals will consume the fruit, and the seed, very important, which helps in replication of the plants by sexual mode of reproduction. The plants replicates by two ways. One, by asexual mode, and asexual mode are in different forms. We already discussed. That is by binary fission, multiple fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, vegetative propagation, and spur formation. All these are the different modes where asexual reproduction takes place and helps in replication of the plants. And when you go deeper, vegetative propagation helps a lot, right? What is vegetative propagation? Any part can develop into plant. Any part. Any part in the sense root. From the root we can develop. Example, chrysanthemum. Offsets are separated and grown. And by leaf propagation, Bryophyllum colloncoi is otherwise called mother of thousands. It produces thousands of plants by leaf. So, Bryophyllum is very good example for leaf propagation. Colloncoi are thousands of mother. And even by suckers, stolon, offsets, runners, these are the some of the way where asexually we can produce or we can replicate the plants. And this image shows how the fertilization takes place. After fertilization, the ovules form seeds, ovary form fruit. Angiosperms produce flowers. The flowers produce seeds. Now, angiosperms divide into two types, monocots and dicots. Monocots have only one cotyledon, example ragi, wheat, rice, etc. Dicots have two cotyledons. All the pulses we use for preparing sambar, all are the example for dicots. Okay, this is, what do you think, it is monocot or dicot? This is dicot because there are two cotyledons. The seeds, when you provide water for the dried seeds, they germinate. Monocots, seeds, during germination remain within the soil. Tamarind seed, when you just throw it on a soil and when the water is provided, it germinates within few days, couple of days, it germinates. The cotyledons in the dicots remains above the soil. You can differentiate it as monocot or dicot. How? Yes, very simple. Monocot leaves are elongated and they show parallel venation. The mustard seeds. Do you think that mustard are monocots? Definitely no. Mustard is a dicot. It is not monocot. It has two cotyledons. When you place the seeds, it produces the sapling where the cotyledons come outside from the soil. That means it is dicot. Leaf shows reticulate venation. Reticulate venation. This is how we can differentiate the monocots and dicots with the help of venations. Monocot shows parallel venation, dicot shows reticulate venation. When the seed germinate, you can find two important parts. As you see in the picture, the part which grows above the soil is known as plumule. Remember plumule. Plumule will develop as shoot system. Remember, the plumule develop as shoot system. The other one is radicle. Radicle develop as root system. So this is the image shows binary fission, multiple fission. There is no male and female gametes here. It is asexual mode of reproduction. This is also asexual mode of reproduction. A single cell divides into more bits and each bit develops as a new organism. This is known as multiple fission. And these are different modes. The first image shows runners. By separating the runners, you can grow the plant. The second image showing bulbs. By separating the bulbs, you can grow the plants. By the tubers, separate the tuber, and tuber will develop as a new plant. And the fourth diagram, as you see, by budding. Budding is a process. External growth takes place on the organism. And the last one is binary fission. That is, one organism develop into two new individual organisms by dividing into two equal halves. Runners are the part from aerial part from the shoot. Runners always comes from the shoot. Now you can see stolons comes from the root. Bulbs and tubers so easy to propagate. If you grow one bulb, it divides into many bulbs within the soil. Separate the bulb and grow it as a new. Potato is very good example for tubers. Onion is good example for the bulbs. Rhizomes is other mode where the plants are easily propagated by the rhizomes. So this is the image how the sexual reproduction takes place in the plants. So flowers are very essential for bringing up sexual mode of reproduction in the plants. The cycle goes on repeating. The plant produces flowers. The flowers produces male gamete and female gamete. The female gamete receives the male gamete by pollen tube. How? The pollen drops on the stigma by pollination. It develops pollen tube. Pollen tube enters embryo sac and reaches egg cell, and fusion of male and female gamete takes place. Now when you place the seed, immediately don't germinate. What is required? It required sunlight, temperature and the water. With the help of these three things, the seed will germinate. You can see the germinated seed, there is two parts. One is green part, one is yellowish part. The green part is called plumule. The yellowish part is called radicle. You can see leaf propagation, offset, rhizomes, tubers. This is how the binary fission takes place. That is, one single cell divides into two equal halves. That is known as binary fission. This is how the fertilization takes place. This sexual reproduction is very important to bring up variations. The flowers are very important to bring up variations. The flowers, they undergo process called meiosis. During meiosis, what is meiosis? It is cell division. It is a kind of cell division. Where do meiosis takes place? Only in the pistil and in the stamen. Nowhere. Nowhere takes place. Only in the pistil and the stamen. Yes, rest of the plant like shoot, root, leaf, stem, branch, everywhere you can find mitosis. What is mitosis? Again, it is a cell division. Mitosis is a process where a single cell divides into two equal halves. That's all. Meiosis is entirely different. That is male and female reproductive structures. There you can find meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, where you can find the combination of DNA. You can find the combination of DNA. Exchange of DNA content. Variations are found only in sexual reproduction by bringing up the changes in the DNA. By bringing changes in the DNA. Let me discuss, variations are very essential or not? Yes, variations are very essential. Why? The plants also should adjust for the nature. If the plants doesn't adjust for the nature will remove the plants. That plants don't survive. That plants will become extinct. Extinct in the sense they completely removed from the nature. Only we'll study in the books. We won't find in the nature. That is extinct. So, this variations helps them to adjust to the nature. Always variations are very helpful for adaptation, so that we can adapt for this nature. And these variations are always from the sexual reproduction.